Welcome, everybody, to Learning English with Luke. It's good to have you. My name is Luke. I will be your teacher for this live lesson. Excuse me. That was hunger. Did you hear that? It was like a brrr. That was my... Do it again. No, it's not doing it again. I haven't eaten all day. I'm so hungry. I'll eat later. I will eat when we're all done here. Welcome, everybody. It's good to have you. Happy to have you here. We have some interesting things to talk about. I'm certainly looking forward to it. So wonderful to have you. And I hope you have lots of good questions because we're going to be doing that. Be answering questions live. Grammar, pronunciation, punctuation, idioms, phrases, culture, whatever it may be. Ask away. Ask away. Questions are good. Let me do something really quickly here before we kick it off. Hope you're all having a good end of the work week. And I hope you have a good weekend as well. What are your plans for the weekend? What are you planning on doing? Anything interesting coming up? Share, share, share. I want to hear about it. All right. Good to go. I believe we're good to go. Have a few people in already. That's good news. Great news. Wonderful news. Fantastic news. Is it Reid? Is that the correct pronunciation? My name is Reid from Tunisia, teacher of English and YouTube content creator. I suggest we do a live lesson together. What do you think? Well, I wouldn't give a blanket yes in every case. Send me an email. Let me know. Give me an idea. Tell me what your idea is. Naomi is here. Hello, Naomi. Amara's here. Amara's here for the buffalo. Come for the buffalo. Stay for the buffalo. You'll see what I mean by that soon, by the way. If you don't understand what that means and why this is called buffalo, you will understand. Trust me, it's actually related to learning English. That might be surprising, but we're going to be using it to learn some grammar. I did not come up with the sentence myself. It's something I've seen before. I don't actually know who came up with it, but we're going to be talking about it. It should be quite interesting. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, but I think it's going to be pretty cool. All right, more people coming in. Willian with an N instead of an M. Awesome. Oh, hey, look who else is here. This someone I know. Rod is here. Very good. Naomi says, miss your lives. Me too. Me too. Been busy, but I'm back. Isn't Buffalo a city? That's a good clue. That's a very good clue. Yes, Buffalo is a city. And an animal, of course. It's a city and an animal. Yes, both of those are true. Mushroom, feel free to join if you want. You can come in here if you want to. Okay, Naomi's got a guess here. Buffalo equals to be, to use, to fail, to find, to ask, to lie, to, is that any verb with letter O? You might be thinking along the right lines with that, but once we dive into it, I think it'll be more clear, right? We have to kind of get a sense for a few grammatical things, and then we can see what the heck this means. What I like to do to learn grammar to teach grammar is show a simplified example that has the same grammar. Then you go back and you show how it works with the more difficult thing, right? So you make it a bit more obvious, and then you reverse it and go back to the original thing that you were having a difficult time with. That's, in my opinion, a good way to learn grammar. Grammar by example, eh? If you guys don't mind, right here at the beginning of our live class, hit the like button. Of course, if you haven't subscribed, do that. And if you're interested in the new course, you can certainly check that out. But have a special offer in the link in the description. It's a yearly membership. So if you're interested in a yearly membership where you can access all of my courses within that yearly membership at 20% off, then you can click on the link in the description. Great methodology. Absolutely, Naomi. I think that's the way that native speakers of any language learn a language. They learn by example, by immersion. The brain creates the structures automatically. You don't really have to do that much other than, look at examples and pay attention, of course, and your brain will kind of figure it out. It's weird how it works like that. The brain is an amazing thing. I was a little concerned that the title for our live class today would be a bit confusing. But that's also the point, right? That's also the purpose. Promises, promises, Rod. Promises, promises. Junior, hello, welcome. Is this about intonation? It is not about intonation, no. Nothing to do with intonation. Although, let me see. How would I say that? Buffalo, buffalo. Buffalo, buffalo, buffalo. Buffalo, 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 buffalo. Yeah. I think I would say it like that. Although you could say it other ways. It kind of depends. It's your call. All right, so if you guys have questions, if you have comments, questions about grammar, pronunciation, idioms, phrases, learning methods, feel free to ask those. We're here to do a Q&A, of course. I'll be answering questions throughout. I do have some interesting things to share, as I've hinted at with the title. And also, what else? I was thinking we could define a new term that has come out in the last couple of years in the English language, which I find quite interesting. A lot of people wanted to know about the word simp, so I wanted to talk about another recent or somewhat recent word that has been popular, and we'll talk about that with some video examples. I was getting video examples and I saved one from my computer on my computer by accident, if you guys want to see it. So there's a sense of humor that might be called surreal humor or something. I'm not sure exactly how you would call it, but there's one guy on TikTok. I don't know if you guys are on TikTok, but there's one guy on TikTok who makes, I think, very interesting videos, but it's definitely not a sense of humor that everyone could appreciate. It's a type of humor, I think, that's called surreal humor, and it's a bit weird, but I find it funny. So I want to share one with you because I accidentally saved it on my computer. So let's see here.
Hey man, I think Trevor has depression. He never gets out of bed.
Oh no, what do you think we should do?
I think I'm gonna put sand in his bed so that way he feels like it's a tropical island vacation in his bed.
That's a great business idea.
Thanks, man. Hi, do you have depression?
Yeah, sometimes.
Don't worry.
It's obviously the same guy, right? He does all the characters, well, most of the characters by himself. You can see his name is PD USA. I think he's a musician as well. I've listened to some of his music on Spotify. He has music on Spotify, which is actually pretty good.
I have a new business idea where I put sand in your bed so you feel like you're in a tropical vacation while you're in your bed.
First, go to a place with lots of sand. I chose the beach. Next, turn your hand into a sand scooper by making your hand look like a
Let's try that. Turn your hand into a sand scooper. Yeah, that's easy.
just like this. Once you've got some sand, put the sand into a proper carrying vessel.
Oh my God, it's a dolphin.
Oh my God, look, a dolphin. Dump the sand out on your depressed friend's bed. Now spread it out like you're making a peanut butter and jelly without a knife.
Peanut butter and jelly is a kind of sandwich that's popular in the U.S.
Yo, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, hey.
I also like how he always bleeps out when he says a bad word or a curse word. He always bleeps it, but he also always leaves it in. He puts the bleep there, but he doesn't. You're supposed to put the bleep there and then remove the word that gets bleeped so you don't also hear it. But he always leaves the original word in. So the bleep actually just makes it more obvious. It's intentional, of course.
And yeah, I'm just putting sand on your bed so it feels like you're on vacation. What the fuck, man? What do you think? Do you like it?
I don't care, man. Whatever.
That's it. Sweet Island Dreams, my sweet, sweet boy.
Thank you.
You're wearing jeans to go to bed?
Yeah.
You gonna take your shoes off or?
No.
Pimp. That's a pimp move.
Okay, whatever. Dump the sand out.
Pimp is kind of a slang term, which comes from a pimp, but it's turned into kind of an adjective or an expression, which can be something like, "Oh, that's very cool."
Go to bed?
Yeah.
You gonna take your shoes off or?
No.
Pimp. That's a pimp move.
Okay, whatever.
That's a pimp move. Quite surreal. PD USA. I like almost all of his videos. Very, very funny. What is he doing? He's finding a cure for depression. If your friend is depressed, you go to the beach. You turn your hand into a sand scooper. You scoop it into an appropriate vessel, and then you spread it out on your depressed friend's bed like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then when they take a nap, they'll feel like they're on a tropical paradise. That's fairly straightforward, I think. That's pretty clear, pretty obvious. No more explanation needed. It works every time. Homographs? I'm curious. Yes. Absolutely. Mary says, "Hey, look, I have a question about math terms in English. I have no clue how to say them or use them." Yeah. So Mary McCain says, "Hi, Luke. I have a question about math terms in English. I have no clue how to say them or use them. I need more info on that." Fairly broad question. One of the first ever videos on this channel, if you go back to the oldest videos on this channel, I'm quite embarrassed about all of them, but I haven't taken them down. Probably should. If you're on YouTube, by the way, this is for YouTube. Probably should, but I haven't. So if you go to those, you'll find a video I did on math terms specifically. It's probably 20 minutes long, only on how to say math-related things in English. But I can give an abbreviated version if you like. So the basic things we use in math are the main four symbols represent an action, right? Plus is the name of one symbol. The minus sign is the name of another, and then the other ones you could say it's a division sign. I haven't heard people say a division symbol, but sometimes it's also written as a slash. And then the X that's used is usually just called times. I've heard some people say times symbol, but those are the things. But how do we actually say it when you have a mathematical equation? Well, if you have 4 and 4, let's say, if it's a plus sign, the action would be plus. So you just say plus as an action. It's a plus sign. and you say this plus that, so 4 plus 4. Then, when you say the result, you can either say equals or is. Equals or is. Either one of those is okay. So 4 plus 4 is 8. 4 plus 4 equals 8. Okay, fairly straightforward. Now you could say, some people say 4 and 4, but usually plus. Now, what about what action you're doing in general? What is this activity? What is this thing called? The activity is not called plussing. What are you doing? I'm plussing these numbers together. What you're doing is adding them together if it's an ing, but the activity broadly is called addition. Addition. And we use that in the language in everyday speech. In addition to this, we should probably do that. In addition, when you're making a speech, in addition, I'd like to say, or I'd like to add, in addition, I'd like to add, that's a little redundant. In addition, we should, and then say something else that you want to add to your speech, okay? What about minus? Minus sign, right? Are we minusing? No, we are subtracting. Subtracting. And the activity that we're doing, like addition, is subtraction. Subtraction. So that's the activity. And again, we use that all the time in the language. We say subtracting a few of these extra details may give this a simpler look that could actually improve it. Sometimes less is more. Just subtract a few of these extra decorations, and I think your room will look better. That means take them away. That's what you're doing. Now, when we actually read the equation, we would say 4 minus 4, not 4 subtract 4. 4 minus 4. And then, just like the other one, it would be is or equals. Is 0 equals 0. 4 minus 4. 4 minus 4. But we're doing subtraction. Okay? What about the one with the x? Well, I think you probably know that's times. Now, sometimes people will say by, but times is most common. So we say 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 4 equals 16. Okay? But what is the activity that we're doing? Again, it's different. It's called multiplication. But the verb of what we're doing is multiplying. Multiplying. If you see things growing or increasing suddenly, we say multiplying. My problems are multiplying. That means because of one problem, I tried to fix it, and that thing I tried to do to fix it actually caused more problems, so my problems are multiplying. We sometimes say multiplying exponentially. That means increasing at an incredible rate. Okay, and what we're doing is multiplication. So the multiplication of what? Could we use that in our daily lives? Sure, just like problems multiplying, we could say the multiplication of problems, or maybe the multiplication of all of our minds together to solve this issue. Maybe you could say that as well. We're putting everything together. Sometimes you would use addition for that, sometimes multiplication. What about the other one? Division. What are we doing? What's the thing that we read when we say that? We would say, actually, divided by. Divided by. That's not the name of the symbol. You might call it a division symbol. Divided by is what you say when you say the equation. 4 divided by 4. 4 divided by 4. What are we doing? Division. Division. What are we doing? Dividing. Dividing. So we're doing the thing, that would be division. We're doing it now, ing, that would be dividing. And of course, we use divide all the time as a verb or in its ing gerund form. We might say, for example, dividing up teams might help us get this done faster. Okay, but we could also divide up snacks and hand them out to people. What about division? Sometimes this word is used for social and cultural things. Division in a community can cause a lot of problems. That means people don't agree with each other. There's conflict. There's chaos, right? Division is often seen as a negative thing, meaning people are not on the same page. Division within the workplace can breed resentment and hurt company culture. Division, that's a negative thing often. But just dividing things up making them into smaller groups or things, that would be extremely common and not necessarily negative. Now, we could go on and on talking about math terms, but it's, I think, interesting to note, number one, the differences in what we say when we read a basic equation and what we are actually doing, and then how those things, number two, are used in the language. Division is such a common word. Multiply is such a common word, not just for mathematics, but in the language broadly. So it's useful to learn those. It's a great question from Mary. Thanks for asking. If you guys haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the like button, of course. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and you can check out my full courses in the links in the description. And as I mentioned, I currently have I just launched a subscription, a yearly subscription. So if you're interested in getting full access to all of my courses as a yearly subscription, you can click on the link there, and it's 20% off at the moment. So 20% off the yearly subscription. That's one whole year. I think it's a good deal. Mary McCain is recovering from COVID-19. Sorry to hear that, Mary. I hope you recover soon. Yeah, exponent is a big one. Exponential growth, for example. And exponent, not so much outside of mathematics, but exponential, certainly, absolutely, 100%. What is the difference between air sickness, faint, and dizzy? Well, I think air sickness is just from being on an airplane, I believe. That's all air sickness is. And then faint and dizzy. Dizzy might mean the world is spinning around you. And faint, not necessarily that the world around you is spinning, but that you just feel very light and you are struggling to maintain your consciousness. You might pass out soon. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're dizzy, right? Bilal is here. I have a colleague named Bilal. We used to study math in Arabic at school, but they changed it to English for some reason. Ah, those bloody hipsters grind my gears. What? Well, I believe a lot of the terms in mathematics originally come from Arabic, right? Like algebra. A lot of the mathematical words themselves come from Arabic, I believe. A lot of astronomical, scientific, and mathematical terms. All right. Shall we get into the buffalo business? I think it's a good enough idea. Shall we get into the buffalo business? I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. All right. It's time. It's time. Buffalo, 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 buffalo. What is going on here? What is this? Well, actually, this is a correct English sentence. Yes, it is a correct English sentence. How could that be? Well, this is something that's actually fairly well known. It's something that doesn't look like a sentence at first, but when you dive into it, you realize, oh, actually, I get it. Can you figure it out? If you look at it, if you want to Think about it for a second. See if you can figure out how this works and how this could be a correct English sentence. Every word is the same, right? If every word is the same, how can it be a complete sentence? I don't get it. Well, it's important to understand a couple things. We're going to go through this. I'm going to explain it. It's important to understand a couple things. Number one, you might have words that have 2 different meanings, 3 different meanings, spelled the same. That's called a homograph. A homograph is a word which is written the same, but may have a different pronunciation, maybe not, and probably has a different meaning or several different meanings. Okay, so that's one thing. Also, we need to remember that there are clues. Whenever we look at something like this, there are clues which can give us hints about what is going on. What are the clues here? One of the clues is this. If you notice here, this B is a capital B. Now, why would the capital B be telling us something? Well, if you know about English, you know that proper nouns are spelled with capital letters. The name of a person, the name of a place, right? The name of a famous bridge, for example. Do you know any proper nouns spelled this way? You probably know buffalo the animal, big furry animal, right? That looks quite fierce. And they are not so common anymore, but used to be very common in North America. This, though, perhaps named after the animal, is the name of a city, Buffalo, New York. Okay, that's our first clue. Now, this one could be that same thing here, but also we must remember the beginning of a sentence is always capitalized. We always capitalize the beginning of a sentence. So this is not necessarily a capital Buffalo B as in the city, but we know this one is. Okay, so that gives us one clue. So this is going to be a proper noun. This is the city, or at least something from a city. Well, if you have a city and then a thing after it, we know the animal, right? Then maybe that is an animal from that city, right? You could say, for example, New York bankers. New York bankers would be bankers from New York. So in a way, we're using that. That whole thing would be called a noun phrase. A noun phrase. But we're using that as the adjective for the bankers. We're using buffalo as the adjective for the animal buffalo. Well, which buffalo? What kind of buffalo? Green buffalo? Buffalo from buffalo. Okay, so we can think of it as an adjective. We can think of it in that way, although together it's a noun phrase. Okay, now, don't we possibly have that twice here? Buffalo from buffalo, buffalo from buffalo. Maybe so. Okay, so that's our first maybe idea about the basic structure of what is going on here. We have buffalo from buffalo, and then they're somehow connected to buffalo from buffalo, and then there's this other buffalo. Now, you also know, probably, that every single sentence has to have a verb. In order to be a complete sentence, or what's called an independent clause, it needs to have a verb in order to be complete. So where's the verb? This is buffalo from buffalo, and this might be buffalo from buffalo. Then there's only one left, so maybe this is our verb. So there must be another meaning of buffalo. There is. It's not very common, but there is. The other meaning of buffalo is something like hassle or bully. To bully someone, that's a verb. That's to treat them badly, perhaps to confuse them, to harass them, to make them feel a little upset, right? So let's just say it's the same as bully. It's pretty close to that. Not exactly the same. But anyway, we've got the basic idea. All right. So we have something like a structure, but it's still not clear. Maybe we can add something that makes it a little bit more clear. Where can we add something? Let's add something between these two. Which word could I add that might help us better understand the sentence? I'm going to add the word that. Buffalo, buffalo, that buffalo, buffalo, buffalo. All right. So there's one thing that another thing does. And then there's a relationship between them. Or there's one thing that another thing, verb. Okay? All right. Still not so clear. This is where we use our method of taking the same structure. Now that we have a basic structure, we have a noun thing, and then maybe a that, and then another noun thing, and then a verb. Okay, now that we have that basic structure in place, we can make something else with it that's a little easier to understand, and then take that back with us to understand the original thing. All right, so how about this? Let's make a new sentence. I'm going to make a sentence that goes like this. Apple employees that Apple, this is the company Apple. Oops, 2 P's in there. 2 P's. Employees bully. All right, Apple employees that Apple employees bully. This is a little more clear now. What does this mean? Apple employees that Apple employees bully. Well, there are 2 groups of Apple employees. One group of Apple employees are not bullied. And then there's another group of Apple employees that are bullied. They experience bullying. Who bullies them? Apple employees. This group of employees is bullied by this group of employees. Now, we're not saying specifically who's in that group, but that's the basic idea. There's a relationship here. Is this group bullying anybody? Not necessarily. Maybe they are. Maybe they're in the bullying group. We don't really know. What we know is they're bullied. Okay? Who's bullying them? Well, that Apple employees bully. Not Samsung employees. Apple employees. We could change this to Samsung employees if we wanted to. Okay, so let's say that's Samsung. Apple employees that Samsung employees bully. So there are Samsung employees, and they do something to Apple employees. And what is the thing that they do? They bully them. Now, does this mean this is all Apple employees? No. Apple employees that Samsung employees bully. Maybe there are 1,000 Apple employees and only 300 get bullied by Samsung employees. So of the 1,000 people that work at Apple, for example, 300 of those get bullied daily, emails, by Samsung employees. All right. So Apple employees that Samsung employees bully. Okay. Now I know which kind of Apple employees you're talking about. Apple employees that hiring managers like. Oh, okay. So the hiring managers like those Apple employees, not all Apple employees. There's a group. We're naming the group. Which group is this? The ones that the hiring managers like. Good. Apple employees that Apple employees bully. So not all Apple employees are bullied, probably, but there's a group of them. Which ones? The ones that get bullied by other Apple employees. So let's just say, for example, here's group 1, these are the bullies. Here's group 2, these are the bullies, the ones who get bullied, and they're bullying them. Okay. So now we understand the basic structure and what it means. Could we say this without the that? Apple employees bully. Yes, we can often remove when we have this type of structure. This is, by the way, called a relative clause. This is called a relative clause. And you're familiar with relative clauses. This is where we say, the old man that I met yesterday. Which old man? The one that I met yesterday. This is called a relative clause. There are different types. This is one of them. Can we remove the that there? The old man I met yesterday. The old man I met yesterday. The old man that I met yesterday. It's the same basic grammar going on, but we can sometimes remove that. Now, you can't do that with which usually. Okay, so just be careful. That and often who we can get rid of often. So we could have who there as well. We could use who, and we could also eliminate that. Okay, so now we understand what Apple employees bully means. Now we understand what Apple employees, Samsung employees bully means. Now we take that and we return it to our original sentence. Now we're taking out the that here, right? Buffalo, buffalo. Now you might be saying, but buffalo. That means we're talking about groups here. It's more than one. Yes, and that's the interesting thing about this. The plural form of buffalo is buffalo. It's not buffaloes. It's buffalo, like deer, right? We don't say deers. We say deer. We don't say fishes usually. We say fish. 1 fish, 2 fish, 3 fish, 4 fish, right? 1 buffalo, 2 buffalo, 3 buffalo, 4 buffalo. I've heard some people say 2 buffaloes, but you could say 2 buffalo. The singular and the plural are the same. That's what makes this possible for all of the words to be exactly the same except for the capitalization, because the plural form is the same as the singular form. Okay. So, buffalo from buffalo, that, buffalo from buffalo, bully or buffalo, because buffalo means bully in this case, or something like that. Buffalo, 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 buffalo. Can you understand the meaning when I say it now? Buffalo, 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 buffalo. Well, actually, no, it would be this way. Buffalo, buffalo, sorry, buffalo, 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 buffalo. It goes in that order. So, and by the way, there's a longer version of this. It gets even more crazy. But that's how it works. And to understand it, you have to slowly pick out these little grammar pieces that can help you understand it. Once you do, it becomes more clear. Think about it. It really works. It's quite interesting. If you have any questions, let me know. If you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And also check out my full courses in the links in the description. All right. You guys get it? You guys understand? Do you? It takes a little thinking, right? I mean, it's not something that's you immediately say, oh, I get it. I totally get it. It takes a little bit of, you kind of have to process it, right? You have to think about it for a few minutes. It's not easy, for sure. Absolutely not easy. What I like to do whenever I want to understand something is just try to break the pieces down and understand the pieces. This one helps me a lot. And especially if I change Apple, because it confuses me, to Samsung. So there's this group, and then this group, and then there's a thing that's happening to one of them done by the other. And then, okay, all right. So this group is experiencing something caused by this group or done by this group, and this is the thing they're doing to them. Oops. Okay. Sorry you missed it. Sorry you missed it. Any other questions about this stuff while we're here? while we're here on the blackboard. This is a new blackboard setup I'm using. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I like it. I think I need to make my eraser a little bigger. No, too big. Go 800. There we go. There's a difficulty in the vocal U. I think we talked about that one in the last class. Yeah, if you guys have any grammar questions, let me know. Happy to answer them. See if I missed any here. Thank you, Saeed. Amar says it's kind of like can you can a can as a can or can. Well, yeah, it's same idea. That's more of a tongue twister. But yeah, this one's unique in that it's all the same, right? Recommendations to read. It depends on the kind of stuff you like, honestly. People are different. Give me your preferences. Any advice to make your handwriting better? I will, as someone with fairly bad handwriting, I would say no. No, probably not. My handwriting is not good. I mean, at least you can read it. That's the important thing. If you can read it, that's okay. I mean, I think handwriting is something that my handwriting gets worse and worse over time, but I don't know. Might be too late. Something that's best learned as a child, perhaps. I had to do handwriting exercises when I was a little kid, and I don't think I would have the patience to do that anymore. So there's no way for me to. To practice it. Put this over here. How about that? Hey. Can you say if possible instead of if it's possible? Yes, in fact, I think if possible is probably even more common than if it's possible. I would say so. Yeah. I would say so. I don't hear anybody say, if someone says, could you please give me some feedback if possible? Could you please give me some feedback if possible? That would be a very common expression. But you would probably not hear people say, if it's possible, if it is possible. It's unnecessary. You can kind of remove it. Most of the time you don't need it. We just say, if possible. That's also a common beginning of a sentence. We would say, if we start with the capital, if possible, comma, if you're writing it, could you please, and then say what you need after that. If possible, could you please? So that would be extremely common. It doesn't really matter if you do it at the beginning or at the end. Just remember, if you're writing it and you put it at the beginning, you need to have a comma right after possible. Very important. Please do your best British accent. I can't. I'm not even going to try it. I'm not even going to try. Utopia by Ahmed Khaled. A great novel. It's grim, though. I haven't read Utopia. Recommendation from Amar. There you go. All right. Amar, I say, don't worry about it. Embrace your bad handwriting, and it'll be fine. The need for handwriting is going down day after day. Less and less need for neat handwriting. All right. Shall we talk about Karens? I think it might be a good idea. Deb Drito says, I tried your American pronunciation course on Udemy, and I think it's pretty good and very clear. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Very much so. Mar says, I have a question from the last stream, but I can't remember it to save my life. Well, that's all right. It's been a while, right? I like to write my questions down. Whenever I'm thinking of a question, I usually write it down, and that helps. So if you remember a couple, I don't know if you do, but like 2 months ago, someone asked what a simp is. And we talked about that, a relatively new word that's coming into the popular culture. A simp. Don't be a simp. Well, if you don't know what it means, too bad. We're not talking about that now. I want to talk about another word which is relatively new that I think it's worth knowing, even if you don't want to use it. Maybe you watched an interview or listened to a podcast, and among native English speakers, especially younger people, and you heard somebody say, don't be such a Karen. A Karen? Don't be such a Karen? What does that mean? If you call someone a Karen, isn't that just someone's name? What a Karen, someone might say. You're being such a Karen. I saw a Karen yesterday. Don't be such a Karen. What is this? So Karen is, of course, a common name, but now is becoming another thing. Still a common name, but people are using it in a negative way. It's kind of an insult for a type of person. Now, this is especially common among younger people in their teens, let's say teens, 20s, 30s, to talk about a certain type of person. Which type of person is this? Maybe the best way is to explore it with some videos. I'm going to show you a couple of, I don't know how else to call it, Karen videos. And then we'll try to define what a Karen is. I'm not saying you should use it. I'm not saying you should call people Karens. It's kind of negative. I just want to let you know what it is if you don't know what it is. So let's take a look at a couple of Karen videos and see if you can create in your mind an idea about what a Karen is. All right? Here we go. We're gonna start with a high level Karen, and then then we'll go to a lower level Karen. Karen, are you ready? Here we are. So I'll skip to the end of this one. It's a little long.
What the fuck are you filming me for? What I'm doing is not wrong! I live here!
Karen lives there. All right. Does that mean her name is actually Karen? No, it does not. Okay, so why is this video calling her a Karen? Well, you're probably getting an idea. But let's look at one more. Let's look at one more video so we can really get a picture of what a Karen is. Here we go. This is, I don't know if this is a slightly more subdued, maybe calmer Karen. Just a little bit, though. Not too much. This is a famous video.
Get her away from me!
No, I got to discipline protect myself. She's trying to attack me. No, no, no.
Stop threatening me!
See, and she's saying I'm threatening her. I'm not saying nothing to her. It's to protect me. Once the law get here, who they gonna believe? Her white ass or my black ass?
No! Get her away from me!
Oh, no. Now, I think these videos might give the impression that Karens only scream. So it might be a little one-sided. These are kind of extreme examples. But this is the stereotype. Someone who is usually middle-aged, let's say 40s, 50s woman, typically a white lady who doesn't want to let people have their fun or gets very upset by a policy or something, will ask to speak to the manager or will have a meltdown in public, will demand something in public, will tell kids to stop skateboarding, will tell people to stop shooting fireworks off. Now, that's not to say someone is right or someone is wrong. It's just to say that usually this word is about someone who doesn't just go with the flow. And it's a woman who's not going with the flow. Often comes with a hairstyle, by the way, too. If you Google Karen hairstyle, you can see a certain hairstyle, and you'll know it when you see it. That is the Karen hairstyle. Usually someone who is quite sensitive emotionally. And there's a famous video of a lady calling the police because there was another person in the park walking his dog. And she just freaked out and called the police. So public freakouts, demanding to speak with managers, sometimes screaming or getting out of control, stopping traffic, yelling at FedEx drivers or workers at fast food restaurants, insisting that they get their way. Very intolerant, not letting people just be, insisting things are exactly as they need them to be. This is the general idea. And I think it's, of course, an evolving term. It's a newer term that people have started using, a Karen. But I want to just make you aware of it, the general usage of a Karen, not suggesting that you go out there and start calling people Karens. You can if you want to, but that's what a Karen is. If you have any questions about this or anything else, let me know. If you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, of course, and check out my full courses in the links in the description. All right. I should probably bring up one thing I was going to mention is the Karen hairstyle. So let me quickly bring up that. Those videos that I showed are somewhat extreme. There are lots of different examples. I wouldn't even say obsession is it's usually something that happens in public, right? And some people are just doing their thing, and that might be very annoying to a Karen. So then there's a public a freak out of some kind. All right, I've got a picture here. I think this would be the stereotypical Karen haircut. There. That style. I think that's called the Karen hairstyle. Yeah. There are other words too that they were common. There was no negative connotation, and then they sort of took on a negative connotation. Like boomer recently has become somewhat more negative, whereas before it was just the name of the generation, baby boomers. Someone says, out of respect. What does that mean? Oh, that's a good question. Can we use goosebumps when one is cold and they have some dots on the skin? Yeah. Yeah, I have goosebumps. You're giving me goosebumps. Not only when you're cold, maybe you feel nervous or scared about something. You could use goosebumps as well. Oh my God, these days I am sick of these abbreviations. Okay. Karen is having a stroke. Yes, indeed. This is a good question. Saeed says, when someone says out of respect, what does that mean? And often we say out of respect for or out of respect to. So really just means the reason for an action is that we're considering others, we're thinking about others. We want others to feel comfortable or not threatened, or we want them to think highly of us, perhaps. So out of respect for my colleagues, I did all of my work up front before my vacation and made sure that they didn't have anything to think about. Sometimes you could swap in words. For example, in that one, it might be better to use out of convenience. Out of convenience to my colleagues, I did that. Out of respect for is the feeling I have for others, right? I wouldn't maybe want to do that naturally, but I'm going to do it because I have respect for you, right? Out of respect for your dietary needs, I chose another place. I was going to make a reservation at my favorite restaurant, but out of respect for your dietary limitations or needs or preferences, I chose another place. So that doesn't mean deeply I respect you seriously. Maybe it does. But in that case, I'm saying out of respect for something about you. I'm considering your dietary needs, and I'm making a decision based on that I might not have otherwise made. That's my favorite restaurant, but I made a reservation at that one because we're going to go together, and I know that because you're lactose intolerant, you can't go to my favorite restaurant. So I did that out of respect for your dietary limitations. Okay. So that's pretty mundane. That's a simple example, right? For a simple everyday thing. Out of respect for you is a little bit more serious, right? Maybe you would withhold information. Why didn't you tell me about this? I didn't tell you out of respect for you. I didn't want you to have to hear something that was going to ruin your day. You had a bunch of good news, wonderful things that happened, and I didn't want to ruin your day. So I withheld some maybe negative information I was going to tell you tomorrow out of respect for you. I wanted you to enjoy your day, and I didn't want to be a joy kill. I didn't want to have to bring something up, so I waited. That's just another example. There are so many different ways to use it. For a person, for a situation, for a person's situation, right? And as I mentioned, you can swap in other adjectives like convenience as well. Out of a sense of convenience or out of convenience. Out of respect for. Out of respect for the families who suffered losses during the hurricane. The government has decided to extend the, I don't know where I'm going with this, but they've done something to help these people out of respect for what they've gone through, this terrible thing. They lost loved ones as a result of the hurricane. Okay, so that would work as well. So many different ways to use it. It really just means a feeling that comes from here, and that being the cause of an action or the reason that you may do or not do something. Hope that makes sense. I hope that's clear. If you haven't already done so, guys, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, check out the full courses in the links in the description. Also, as I mentioned earlier, you can check out the yearly membership if you want to get full access to all of my courses for a year. You can click on the link in the description. It's an annual membership link that has it's 20% off at the moment. So 20% off the yearly membership for all the courses. Pretty good deal. I think so. Same old, same old. That's just an expression that means nothing is new. When someone says, how's it going? Same old, same old. What have you been up to? Same old, same old. That means, for me, nothing is new. It's a common expression. Mar says, do you ever get bored answering the same question over and over? Do you think to yourself, oh no, it's the same effing question again? Nah, not really. I mean, because they tend to be a little different. There's always a slight variation or difference, and I think covering things, even if it's similar to what we've talked about before, is quite interesting. All right. Advice for beginners to improve vocab. Okay. In the movie The Irishman, I think it's Irishman, right? The Irishman? Is it The Irishman or The Men? I can't remember. I don't think I've seen the whole movie. They always say he don't instead of he doesn't. Why is that? You don't have to, I mean, people who use the language, there are variations in different places. People say things that are not technically grammatically correct all the time, right? If you grow up in a culture, in a community where a certain way of speaking is common, that's how you speak. It's not like there are rules of grammar and then everyone says, oh, everyone, we got to listen to the rules of grammar. No, you speak the way you speak because of your upbringing and your community, the people around you, right? So if that person grew up in a place where people were saying he don't instead of he doesn't, then that's how people speak. Should I say it's wrong? Well, the rules of grammar are descriptive, not proscriptive. That means they're describing what is in the language, not what has to be done. So I can't go up to someone and say, hey, don't say that. Now, the difference is, for someone who's trying to learn the language, then I should teach the correct way. So there's kind of a difference, right? If someone says he don't and doesn't know that grammatically, if you're writing an email, you should write he doesn't, then I would say, okay, you need to know that. But if you're a native English speaker and you grew up and people around you are saying he don't instead of he doesn't, I have nothing to say about that. Fine, great. I don't care. I mean, I don't care. I'm here to help English learners who don't know things to know things. I'm not here to tell native English speakers what they can and can't say. Because, in fact, there's tons of variation. If you went around just the United States, you would see so much variation in the way people speak, the way people communicate, and a lot of that would not fit grammatically. I say things all the time in my daily life that aren't grammatical or correct, all the time, because language is like that. It's much more flexible than what the rules describe. The rules are there to have a sort of thing to go back to describe what's going on, but it's still imperfect. What you have to do is absorb as much as you can, surround yourself with it, and then based on what you've learned by surrounding yourself, immersing yourself in the language, start to use what's comfortable for you. Now, if you think that using he don't instead of he doesn't fits your style and you want to do that, I won't say, oh yeah, that's great, you should do that. I'll say, as long as you know what you're doing, you make your own decisions. I would say I like to use doesn't because I'm comfortable using grammar that's a little closer to what is described in correct grammar. That's just me. That's my style. Okay. But I say things all the time that are not grammatically correct as well. So language is messy, and you kind of just have to be flexible, relax. If you say, oh, that's wrong, then you're not open to that. It's better to just listen to it, understand it, and say, okay, some people talk like that. Great. I mean, any country, native English-speaking country you go to, you'll hear so much variation. It will shock you. It will shock you. It's a good question, though, from Saeed. I need to watch that movie for sure. English is a flexible language. Yes, indeed. Very flexible. Very flexible. People use like all the time. I don't really like, personally, I don't like when people use like all the time. I'm like. I don't like it. That's a modern trend in spoken English. I don't like it. But people do that. I try not to use it, but people do. And that's kind of just, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. All right. You know what, guys? I think it's about time to call it a day. Thank you all for joining. Much appreciated. I enjoyed giving the new Blackboard setup a try. That's fun. If you guys have questions that I didn't answer, let me know in the next one, or you can put it in the comments. That's fine too. We'll be back next week for sure. So in the meantime, yes, let me know what questions you have. I'll have some stuff ready to go as well. If you want to watch anything, or you have other, for example, TikToks you don't understand, send them to me in the comments or in the WhatsApp chat group, and I'll check those out. And hope you guys have a great weekend. Again, don't forget, if you haven't hit the like button already, don't forget to do that. And the courses, there's the yearly membership, special price, 20% off. Check that out in the link in the description. All the courses for 20% off for the yearly membership. Great. Well, I think that's it for today. Thanks, guys. I'm going to go eat some dinner. Have a good one. Talk to you later.